Good morning. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Sonya Culver. I am actually the founder and lead trainer for Church Source Global, LLC. Is actually doing business as Kingdom Source Global. So that's why you see the KSG. It's Kingdom Source Global. And I'm indeed honored to be afforded this opportunity to share the mission of my business with each one of you this morning. We can go ahead and switch to the purpose. The next slide, thank you. So really the purpose of KSG overall is just really to support and advance the objectives and or the vision of faith-based businesses for greater impact, primarily by cultivating or like pioneering new and improved paths or developing a systems demonstrating a more excellent way to function. And in essence, to bring in or to make more of an impact to more of the masses per se. So it's like a kingdom style approach where God gets the glory. So whatever it is that you're doing, I incorporate scripture or Bible foundation to improve it, to modify it, to innovate it into current situations or current things in order to have a greater impact, if that makes sense. Okay, next slide. So the problems that I address based on what I've seen is a lack of professional development in church and back office and operations. So often most churches or church schools or anything that's faith-based is often limited to the level exposure or the general business etiquette that they implement. Is really based on their membership or their contacts, no really formal, education type thing. So my goal is to help balance the Christian standards with the business standards for a greater impact and delivery. And the next problem is the lack of ethical and moral development in the private Christian educational system. And they're also limited to the degree of accountability systems within their own staff at their levels. So I like to partner with them to establish a more operative and a successive system to immediately phase in or incorporate within their framework some type of accountability at all levels. And then the last problem I address is the lack of opportunities for private Christian education system to have like team building and professional development, even though they have some within their system, but it's still basically limited. So in response to both of those problems, KSG is strategically designed to address this deficit with opportunities to help bridge the gap between business and Bible, serving as the balancer. I call it the balancer, Christian and professional. And like they say in church, nothing missing, nothing lacking, nothing broken. Next slide. So some of my solutions, I create a system to educate and motivate volunteers and reporting systems to keep the ministries updated. So I do that through teamwork, retreats, recognition, empowerment, that type thing. Another solution would be introduce biblically based professional development tools and resources to private Christian schools for implementation. And that's where I marry HR principles with kingdom principles per se, since I do have a master's in HR. And then I introduce the Kingdom Solutions team building process and systems. That's more where I incorporate how the Bible functions as unity. Each part has their own function. And so I would just marry that together, Kingdom Solutions to team building, so that everybody finds their right fit for greater effectiveness. The next slide. So basically, this is my bio. I'm a licensed and ordained minister. I have 25 years in public and private education. I have a master's in human resource management, and I have over 15, almost 20 years in church leadership. The next slide. So looking at the market size, just based on a Google review, there are about 34,000 private Christian schools within the US. And just Googling down to Florida, there are about 507, and I'm very moderate. I can touch at least 10% of those. So that would make about 50 churches or church schools or businesses that I would have a greater impact is my goal for right now. Next slide. So my target audience, who am I targeting? I'm targeting educators, administrators, and staff at these schools, Christian schools in particular, any organizations or churches like nonprofits, social enterprises, anything that the owner is faith-based. And so if they're faith-based, that means they're working based on a vision that they believe is their calling. And so my job or my proposal is to come alongside them to help cultivate, because a lot of times once we get started with the vision, it kind of goes off to something, it develops into something else different from what the original blueprint or the divine blueprint was. And so it's not as impactful as it should be. And so that's basically what I come in to try to do, is to partner on fine. And it could be anybody, it could be not just schools, nonprofits, it could be healthcare, it could be engineering, social services, anything that deals with people operating and functioning as the breath or the fuel to that business. The next slide. So how am I offering my business offerings? Workshops, retreats, one-on-one peer consulting, speaking engagements, and then partnerships. And I find that partnerships is probably better because that gives me an opportunity to kind of sit, to observe, to see how things are done, to give, feedback as you're going, to help evolving. So my partnership, I'm actually developing a manual called Evolving Excellence in Kingdom Business, a guide to sustainability. And so just to see how they're flowing and operating, it's better to kind of partner within maybe 3 months or so that I can actually get into the meetings and getting how things are flowing, just to, enter right then some things that will help and make it more effective. The next slide. So what is my market strategy? Well, for retention, I'll basically start by using my KSG networks and membership organizations to help build my sales pipeline. And that's through my membership with the chamber, the Christian chamber, the African American chamber, with you all, 1 Million Cup. I'm also in the process of partnering with the League of Christian Schools based out of Lakeland. And so I do have a meeting with them in the next few weeks to figure out how I can partner with their organization. As far as revenue, if schools, they'll probably be built on a net 30. Individuals or businesses, probably, I'm thinking of billing them on the same day of service. And partnership, I haven't quite decided that yet, probably be a combination. Referrals, basically social media, email marketing to build my sales funnel. I do have a landing page. I will put that link in the chat in a few minutes. I'm gonna start a monthly newsletter starting in January. And I'm gonna be adding social media to I'm gonna do LinkedIn and Facebook right now. The next slide. And this is my ask. Basically, I'm just looking for feedback and thoughts regarding the services that I offer. I'm looking for ways to attract clientele and to grow upon my fully launching in January. And I ask that you will join my mailing list and commit to responding with feedback for at least one of the newsletters that I put out per month. And it's only once per month. So it's not like a spam thing that you'll every day get things. It's just once per month. Okay, so now I'm open for questions and answers, and I'll put my link to the landing page in the chat right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And what a very nice presentation, just very pleasant, very, very nice and easy to listen to. And I just have to, just a quick nugget you shared, which I love. You just shared a golden, you said Bible and business together.
Yes.
And I just thought you're giving new definition to B2B. You can redefine B2B as Bible to business. And
Amen.
maybe take that and play with it, because that sounds like
I
fun.
like that. B2B.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun to play with. I do B2B, but not what you think. So, this sounds really familiar to me. Do you know Claudette Robinson here locally?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. She was, I think she was doing something similar when I first met her. So anyways, I just didn't know if you were maybe in the same circles.
Okay, Claudette
So
Robbins.
Claudette Robinson. Yeah. In fact, it was also I think Kingdom Chamber of Commerce. I think that was her
Oh,
thing.
okay,
So maybe that would be a good match. Maybe it's worth talking with her about that.
okay.
Um, and let's see. So the big question, right? Why you? Why is this so important to you? And why do you feel like you're the right person to bring this to the world?
Well, I feel it's my call. I started actually volunteering in ministry. And so based on that, I found myself a natural organizer, facilitator. So I was placed in a lot of leadership roles that ended up as the chief of staff. And so as chief of staff, I was able, then I went back to school. Of course, I was a teacher first. Then I went back to school since I was afforded several opportunities as a teacher to come out of the classroom to facilitate programs. And I found my niche. I was like, wow, I'm just seem to be flourishing in this area. So I was able to use that within the church framework as the chief of staff. And a lot of people took notice of that. I was sent out to other churches, and it's like, okay, so well, you need to, make this a business where you offer churches. So basically, when I got my master's in HR, I was not able to get a job in the business sector. And I heard God tell me that was for the kingdom or for the church, basically, is what I heard. So that's where you get Church Source Global. But then I had to have further clarification because church is so limited. So that's why I really wasn't going, because it's really the church is all facets of business. It's not just the church. We have kingdom people that's in every aspect of business. Okay, so that's basically, so that's where I feel called, is just to lend my talents and my gifts and my expertise and experiences. And I kind of engage my audience in a different way. And so, like, for example, I've used the theme for retreat, Take the Leap. And so I used the NASCAR as the theme to implement. And it was like I had the whole setup, just like a NASCAR experience would be. I had a race car, had all the flags everywhere. I had volunteers to stand outside to flag all my guests in as they were coming in the parking lot. It was like a full production. And that's how you grab them, And then when we came in with the workshops, the team building, they had to have a NASCAR survival guide, since that's not something we do all the time. In order to answer questions, they had to infuse NASCAR terminology. And so basically I kind of like to marry something theme related with the Bible for greater impact. And they were ready to run back and implement their new strategies and do whatever it is that the leadership were commanding of them to do or expecting of them to do.
Absolutely. And analogies are a very powerful tool, right? Because the
Yes.
Bible's full of them. It makes it easier for us to digest a message, and it's very, very smart. So what stage of business are you at? Do you already have clients, or is this something that you're looking for your first set of clients? Where are you at on
Yes.
this?
I haven't fully launched. My full launch will be as Kingdom Source Global will be in January. And so that's why I have the link to my landing page in order to get my newsletter started. I'm going to start to expand to social media, even though I started silently kind of as Church Source Global, but I really didn't have the information or the partnership or the connections to push it out the way I saw it in my spirit. So it basically was just in name only, basically. And so now God has given me the tools, the resources to paperwork and actually see it begin to take some feet now. So January will actually be the official launch of Kingdom Source Global.
Got it. And the reason I ask, I'm just wondering, so what kind of pushback do you expect? What kind of maybe objections or pushback you think you might get for what you're offering?
Probably with not necessarily smaller churches. Some churches are not willing to pay for professional development. So that could be a downside for some, but it depends. It has to be organizations that value their people, that value the human component of their business, knowing that they are the key, and having people in the right place is the greater key to getting, the effective results that you're looking for. And so I know that the price or just the cost would be a issue. And one of my negotiables is that it has to be a faith-based person, because I do what I do based on the Bible, and I do mention the Bible. So it has to be somebody that's at least a believer. So
Yeah, which actually helps with your client avatar, right? At least you're
yes,
able to get real specific now.
right.
Now
So
you
I
might want
say,
to get even more specific than that,
okay.
but definitely that's a good starting point. Scott says he likes Vacation Bible School for businesses. So
Oh, okay. Awesome.
you want to share any more on that, Scott? Because that is actually kind of neat.
Vacation Bible School.
Oh, in my past, I was a Vacation Bible School director at, at a previous church. But just the way you were describing the event, and the NASCAR theme, just
Yes.
theming something. But I imagine that you're putting in, various different scriptural references, or things like that people can take away, the lessons that they can take away, and how they can apply those to their everyday business life. Just made me think of VBS as a concept.
Yes, I appreciate that. I like that too. Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, who would be a good introduction, like your ideal introduction, either type of person, like by title, or it doesn't have to be a person's name. If there's a specific person here in Central Florida that you like to be introduced to, or is there just a type of person in particular, ideally?
Well, right now, I don't have specifics. I'm just basically open to whoever, is just willing to explore options. They have a heart for their people. They know it's not going the right way. They need to make some modifications, and they're prayerful, and they know, and they understand that, the steps are guided and ordered. And so I don't think things happen by happenstance. And so I just believe I'll be connected to the right people that's ready, and then God will give me what I need to minister to them at their point.
Okay. Well, and the reason I asked that question too is when you ask for referrals, the more specific you can be, the easier it's going to be for someone in their mind to open up the right file and find that specific person. If you just say faith-based person, there's a lot of people I know that are faith-based.
Right.
But if you say faith-based person who's running a school of 500 children who yada, 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 right? Or something like that.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking of a specific business owner I know that runs daycares. So my challenge to you would just get as specific as you can when asking for referrals, and have that ideal person in mind. Like, man, if I could just get in front of this one person for 5 minutes, I know they're going to love me. I know they're going to love what I do, and it's going to take my business to the next level. So who is that person? And you don't have to answer it now, but just something to think about.
Right. Because right now my target, is just the Christian schools,
right,
churches, and any nonprofits. But I expand far beyond that. But right now the target is just Christian schools, churches, private Christian school churches, and any nonprofits that's faith-based.
I'd like to, I don't know, Sonya, if you've seen it, but I just messaged you in the chat. I have a faith-based investor contact, and they're looking for things like you. So I sent you my email. So go ahead and reach out to me, and then I'll introduce you to. So they have a whole platform and program and everything like that, and they're going to make you jump through a bunch of hoops, but it might be worth it.
Okay, Rupert.
Rupert, yes.
Thank you so much. Let me.
Sure. Bon chance.
And
so you said you sent your email. Okay.
So Sylvester has a question. Do you use any John Maxwell materials in your program?
I have been. Well, I am a fan of John Maxwell. Yes, it's incorporated. I actually began with John Maxwell as a chief of staff, a part of a ministry. I used a lot of his things as far as helping me to, develop my own craft, but it's, similar, it's Bible based. So yes, I do consider John Maxwell a private mentor or silent mentor per se.
Nice. Yeah, he's got good stuff. So what's your big vision, I guess? What is your if you could paint the vision of the world, right? I guess kind of at the end, not so much an exit strategy per se, but what do you want? What is success? Define success for us in this. Let's say you start contacting some schools, you're getting into like maybe 10, 15, 20, or maybe you hit the 50 that you're searching for, that you're looking to service. What does the world look like? I mean, is that success? Just those 50 schools? Are you looking at, can this be scaled even bigger? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my success is just after, I guess, partnership with me, it's just to see a greater passion for what is happening and what you do. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, actually,
Just
Eric is
see-
just, oh, go ahead.
Just to see the people functioning at greater levels of success and passion, just knowing that where they are, they were meant to be there. And so no more pulling teeth, no more of the struggle of trying to retain, to keep the morale up. When you know that that's what you're supposed to be doing, you're connected in the right place, that's when things begin to flow. And so you're just kind of able to build a greater vision when everybody's in the right place. And you're easily, when somebody new comes in, it's easier to find the gaps. So where do we need somebody now? Since we have everybody in place, so you can tell what's needed at that point. So my greater vision is just to see more effectiveness, the more job satisfaction, I guess you would say, more creativity from individuals, input into the structure of the business instead of just being top heavy. It's team. It's more team fulfillment. And that just brings me joy. Everybody's input counts.
Excellent. I think Eric has kind of the same idea. He's wondering if you're limiting your scope and, is this scalable? If you wanted to scale it, do you feel like what you have is scalable to outside of the state?
Yes. I actually presented in Texas, the 1 Million Cup in Northeast Tarrant, Texas, because my partner is Beard Marketing Firm and they're based out of Texas. And so that was my first filler with them. So I'm actually open, and my partner has some contacts in not only Texas, but as he said, in Arkansas as well. So we're kind of filling out those places. But yes, I am open to worldwide, actually, just one step at a time. I'm just, being led right now.
Perfect. Speaking of marketing, you mentioned some of your marketing efforts, like social media, things like that. Where's going to be your main focus? How are people going to find you, or are you going to find people for this? What is going to be your main focus moving forward?
Right now, it's going to be just kind of the landings page that I have established, that I put the link in the chat, the newsletter. I'm going to expand my LinkedIn. Right now I have a personal LinkedIn. I'm going to infuse Kingdom Source material within that. We're going to establish a Facebook page where I probably do some type of lives, something, maybe once a month or every other month, to try to, get more exposure to what I'm doing. Mailers, I have targeted schools, since I did attend the Legal Christian Schools Conference they had last week, and that is worldwide, or at least in the United States. So I do have a contact of a bunch of schools that participated. So I was going to kind of start there and send out maybe a brochure or mailer that I, just a, filler that would direct them to my landings page. I also had cards that I passed out. This is like just a simple 5 jewels in the crown to kingdom leadership. So it's just little snippets that you could do. And then it has my landing page QR on the back. So that's basically what I had at the conference on last week. So just a little bit at a time, a little bit of social media, mailer, word of mouth, newsletter, and we'll see which one is more effective.
Yeah, makes sense. And the biggest challenge for a lot of us is just, where is our audience, and finding where they hang out, where they are, and then how do you get in front of them? So
Right.
yeah, just things to
Okay.
keep in
I
mind.
see
'Cause
someone
that's-
says connect to an Instagram account. I think I just read somebody said connect. Anyway.
Yeah, actually, Sylvester said, I suggest connecting an Instagram account with your Facebook Live
Oh,
broadcast to
okay.
reach a broader audience.
Okay. Instagram with Facebook. Oh, I have that written down.
And then, when it comes to landing pages too, I don't know if you're doing something like this, but to get someone to a landing page, sometimes it helps have what they call a lead magnet, something that, hey, come check out what I'm doing, and here's this free, here's 8 steps you can take to
Okay.
to increase your B2B score, to increase, you explain it,
Oh, okay.
Bible to business, right, or something.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. I
And
like
it's something
that.
where you provide value. So someone's like, wow, this is great. Even if they never do business with you, the whole point is provide so much value that they appreciate you. And they're like, wow, if
Right.
she's willing to share this with me for free, and I'm already putting this into
Yes.
practice,
Right.
what else does she have behind here that it's worth exploring and worth maybe having a conversation with her? So if you have,
Awesome.
I don't know if you thought about something like that, but I would highly recommend,
Right.
it could be a
Yes.
webinar, it could be a PDF, it could be a call, or there's lots of different ways to do it,
Okay.
but give that some thought.
Awesome. And that was one of the suggestions that I got from Texas, to offer something free. It wasn't as specific as you were, but I appreciate that. I hadn't thought about that, but they said to offer something for free, just to give them a little feel of what I offer.
Right.
So
And
I
the key
like
is not, and the key is not that it's free. The key is that it has a lot of value. So
Okay.
sometimes we think free, like, oh, I'll just put together something that it doesn't have to make any sense. It's just something they're going
Right.
to take and then throw in the trash. That's not going to work. But I want to
Right.
get to, so Rod, and then Chantel has a question. So go ahead, Rod.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going right along with that, Josh. I think that with all your training and with all your experience and your personality, you should do a free short masterclass. I would use that as the lead magnet. You can go to thinkific.com. They have a free plan to where you can host one course. And so, because if you're going to be asking churches and Christian schools for money, they're very budget conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can give them a half an hour to an hour of a feeling of what you do and have it be a very high level. So don't go deep on any one subject. Go very shallow on 4 or 5 or 6 different subjects throughout that hour that are your main pillars of your course. And then they're going to see, okay, I match up with her teaching style. They like you. They're going to find, okay, well, she's telling me this much for free. What more can I get from her when I hire her? And so I think that a short masterclass, 30 minutes to an hour, that would be a freebie, that would be your lead magnet. And you capture everybody's information, then you could do email marketing and everything else to them. And once I don't know how often it's been mentioned here in Million Cups, but with the Apple changes with advertising, with everything else, an email list is more important than ever now, because you can have a platform shut you down overnight and lose everything. And if you don't have their emails, you're lost. So whether you build on social media or not, always find a way to collect their emails. And hopefully their cell number, so you can text message and market that way as well.
100%.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. I like that.
Yes.
And
Chantel.
you said thinkific.com, I think.
Thinkific. Yes. It's think and then IFIC.
I'll put a link here in a second.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Chantel.
Yeah, hi, Sonya. I love your idea. It's really needed. I was a private school teacher for 5 years, and I actually left the profession based on lack of leadership development. And I just imagine, like, we'd have weekly meetings, that for you to bring something in that can help the staff uplift themselves and reach their dreams and goals while they're still in that field. I think that's a great niche that you're in. So I just wanted to add that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm trying. I just have a heart. It's a passion of mine, because as I sit in meetings, even as a teacher, it's like when stuff is not in order or it could be better, or, it's just like it bothers me. So I figured that was my assignment. So I said, whatever bothers you or you have a problem with, that's a part of what you should be fixing. So that's how I look at it. So I need to offer my services to try to create a better flow, better feel.
Yes, definitely. Very true. And it's needed.
Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, you bring up a really good point too. And I want to say kudos for monetizing your passion. A lot of folks get shy about that. They're like, I don't think I could do it, or it doesn't feel right. But there should be there should be no shyness about providing value to the world and receiving value in return, that transfer of value, which is just that's what monetization really is. It's the transferring of value back and forth. So,
okay.
Okay.
Because I was just doing it because I loved doing what I did, but then I noticed that people were actually taking notice. Like, what are y'all doing? Oh, we have our chief of staff. She's organized this training. This is our retreat. It's like, oh, really? And so I'm like, so I said, okay, well, I guess I'm called to this, so I'll try to go for it.
And rock and roll then. So I got to send it back to Eric for our final question.
Okay.
All right, Sonya, great job, and thank you for talking to us. You gave us one specific request, but what else can we as a community do for you?
Well, I just basically be like my think tank, I guess. It would be, I guess, as I move forward. If you would actually sign up for my newsletter that will start coming out, provide any feedback, just have access to you as I begin to try to launch out in some of these suggestions and just kind of feel, what do you think about this? This is how this worked. Just a place a safe place to come and say, okay, this didn't go too well, but this went well. So what is it? Just do I need to drop this, or maybe I need to pick up something else? So just kind of a think tank, a safe place, just to be and to connect with somebody that really wants to support and push and help push me forward.
Okay. Then one thing I would encourage you to do is to come back each week and get to know different people. You can build relationships, and we will become your trusted advisors. We're more than happy to do that. But if you're here, then we can see you, we can meet with you, we can talk with you later. You can call me and say, hey, Eric, I got a question about this, and I can help you.
Okay.
So I'm more than happy to do that. I already signed up for the newsletter, so I'm looking forward to getting it in January. So.
Okay, awesome.
So, and thank you very much for your great presentation.
Thank you. So I'm gonna have to really get my computer fixed. Something, I don't know what's going on that's blocking it. I'm gonna have to get some professional help.
Somebody else had a problem. Penny had a problem getting in this morning too, so it might be a Zoom issue. So we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
So I want to open it up for discussion. Josh and I were actually talking about this morning when we were talking about the holidays and why do we have holidays. But do you have any rituals personally or professionally that you do? Like just, you have to have your tea in the morning before you start, or you make your tea in a certain way, or, when I write, I've got certain things that I do in order to get mentally prepared for writing. So does anybody have any kind of ritual that they do for work or for personal to bring yourself comfort?
Well, mine is just prayer, meditation, prayer at the beginning, maybe at least 15 minutes before you get going.
Okay. Sylvester says coffee. Sylvester, do you prepare it a certain way? Like I do the what do you call it? The Chemex. I make it that way every morning. And so that's sort of my ritual when I prepare it. And I actually hold the dog while I make it. So tell us about your coffee ritual.
Well, once upon a time, I bought a coffee pot, coffee grinder. It's got the single coffee maker and then the pot. But it got to where I found it more efficient to just make a pot. I drink a pot probably in 3 days. So I'm not drinking it all in one day, but I got to have a couple cups in the morning. I catch a little CBS News and then jump into the day.
Great.
I suspect you ruined your day when you started watching the news.
I have moments through the day. I start with the CBS specifically has kind of an upbeat series of shows. They do a 90-second with comedians involved, which is a good little dose of the day. Get the headlines and keep moving. Later in the day, I get a little bit deeper with I can't remember the station, but it's set in my truck when I'm out and about. I try to pay attention to left leaning, right leaning, and then NPR is the cleanser down the middle. Speaking of news.
Yep.
And since you gave me the floor, it's been quite a while. The last time I joined a 1 Million Cups was in person on the campus, and I was actually supporting another person's invention. And I got back in to try to get myself ready. I have a new business that will be, I'll connect in the appropriate manner to get a slot on the presentation. But I commend Sonya by way of patting myself on the back because I watched her, purpose, mission statement, problem, solution, marketing, business offerings, talked about your marketing strategy and then your call to action at the end, which is almost identical to the slide deck I'm working on. So thank you for that reassurance.
Excellent.
Sylvester, I haven't seen your application yet, so please be sure to get that in and get on the schedule. 'Cause
Absolutely.
We're out
Again,
into December. Yeah,
I've been getting the email, and I just got the epiphany this week. No, actually last week, I registered for this session to put myself in that mode to get the application completed to get on the schedule.
awesome.
Great. Sean, I know you've got a ritual that concerns where you meet people and where you do most of your work throughout the day. You're muted though.
My ritual is I get up 5:10 in the morning. I used to get up at 5:20, but I was rushing because I had to be in my fitness center catching up the news and everything. Then I go home and have my breakfast. Then I start my day at Panera Bread's on Park Avenue in Winter Park. That's my headquarters, I call it. I have 16 other Panera Bread branches, that's branch offices. So that's where I meet most of my mentees there. That's what I do.
Yep. So if you ever need to find Sean, just go to the Winter Park Panera Bread there on Park Avenue. He is most likely there.
I knew the original founder, Mr. Cavelli, from day one when he opened next to Rollins College. I was almost the first customer there.
Wow.
That's how I found out about him. You guys have to read about him. He's one of the most admired. I admire him the most among all the entrepreneurs. Amazing guy. We can learn a lot from him. If you like the culture at Panera, that's because of him. Mr. Cavelli. He was a World War II veteran. Started with a few potatoes. And now he's worth about $1.5 billion.
Be some great potatoes.
Yeah, it's a very well. I will send you guys if you want to his blog. You can go to Panera website. It is there. History and everything is amazing. They are not a coffee shop. Everybody thinks coffee shop. No, they are in the logistic business. They really look at it. They deal with literally thousands of ingredients. Everything has to come perfect. Otherwise, you're going to bitch and moan. Think for a minute. Everything has to come. They work like a clock. And the current manager there is only 23-year-old. She started straight from high school, 5 years. Manager, and that's one of the most sought after Panera Bread. It's a really, really well-run the one at the Park Avenue. If there is any problem with you guys, let me know. I give them feedback all the time.
Okay, interesting. Yeah,
Yes, people-
my ritual is I like to work at independent coffee shops, and I've actually created a map of all the independent coffee shops and tea shops in Central Florida. And so when I want to go work outside of my office in my garage, I check the map. I go for a shop that I haven't been to before, or at least in a while, and then I go work there for a few hours. Simon, how about you? Do you have a ritual?
I guess the ritual I have is I have what I call myself a technology break in the day. I'm pretty much 100% at the computer, on the phones, but whatever. When you're in business, you're constantly with technology. So halfway through the day, take the dogs for a walk. Spend an hour out with the dogs in the middle of the day, just to have a break, clear all your morning thoughts, get ready for the later part of the day.
Right. VJ, how about you?
Hey, yeah. So I get up early morning. I'm an early bird raiser, so I get up at 5, and I have a couple of product companies. I do consulting. I am an IT solution architect. I do consulting. So I do have an offshore team. So I connect with them. I connect with 4 teams in the morning. Before 9 o'clock, I catch up with them all. And 9 o'clock, I do IT solutions architect consulting for a few hours. I wind up my day at 1 o'clock, my regular day at 1 o'clock. And after then, it's a free thinking. Like I think freely whatever I want to, so that I can solve problems, whichever I had in the morning, and then plan for the next day. That's how I organize my day.
That's good. Very good.
Great. Raul, how about you?
Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. This is my first time over here. It was nice meeting you guys.
Okay,
basically,
welcome.
Yes. Basically, I meditate and pray the first thing in the morning. Very important for me to be connected, and then the rest. Yeah, I downloaded some instructions for the day, for the week. I prepare for the week, for the month, for the quarter. So that's basically what I do.
Great. All right. I know Sonya talked about doing that as well. So, Penny, do you have any rituals, personally or professionally?
You lost.
Oh, maybe she can't join us. All right, Yale, how about you?
Yeah, I was just raised my hand for that. So for me, I love to either go out for a nice walk or a bike ride in the mornings. But on the holidays, that's where you pretty much started this. So for the holidays, it's just really having the opportunity to connect with friends and family, and just via Zoom or FaceTime or just a phone call based on where everyone is. Because one of the things being in this area, everyone else has moved on and gone to different places. So it's just having those opportunities to reconnect.
Okay, great. All right. And Chantel, did we hear from you?
Here I am. So I have 3 little ones at home. So my morning ritual is to kind of just take a little quiet time before the morning starts. And then with them, we start our day when they're getting ready to go with prayer and an affirmation for the day. That's personally. Professionally, I like to reach out to people in my contact list at least once a week, just kind of go through my text messages or my call log just to say hello, send a general text saying, hello, how's everyone doing? Just to keep in touch for when my things are ready. I still have that relationship to make connections.
Okay, that's a good one. Rod, how about you?
Yeah, get up and I do the meditation and prayer thing just like others, and then I find that instead of watching the news program, others do, I get a couple news emails, and I'm able to get a good summary right there of what's going on, and then I go through and see how my friends and family are doing, and then I just start to work. I do all that starting off really early though with taking kids to school.
BJ, you raised your hand?
Yeah, I just want to share my thoughts, if it is okay, about meditation, right? So in my opinion, I meditate all day, right? Because the work you do, if you love, you meditate. If you have the passion in what you do, you meditate during your work. So that's my ideology behind meditation. And I do that all day, just to put a thought around and then see how you all think about it.
Okay, great. Excellent, thank you. Is there anybody I did not get to? Josh, do you have one?
Yeah, first of all, I agree with VJ 100%. And that's why I do what I do in business, actually. I have a morning routine. I go for a walk. I listen to my audiobooks. So I go through a lot of books a year. And one of the best ways to do it is while I'm walking and doing my breathing, I'm listening to an audiobook. And then I have my coffee, and I do make my coffee a very specific way, hand ground, AeroPress. It's got to be the right kind of bean, perfectly roasted, yada, yada. I'm a snob, I get it.
My wife does AeroPress for the same reason.
Yeah. So that's what I do. And I want to start my day with intention. Because if you don't start your day with an intention, your day becomes an accident. And accidents usually they don't turn out too well. So I always try and make sure I start my day the way I want to and not let anyone else impact that or get into a rush and become reactive. So my 2 cents.
Perfect. Penny says her morning ritual is a 10-minute meditation, and then she works out. She works out before her body realizes what she's doing. That's a good plan. My body is hyper aware of when I try to stress it, and so it's ready to fight it. Sean.
I just want to add back. My ritual morning, it doesn't start in the morning. It starts at night, 12:30 to 1 in the morning. That's when I go to bed. I sit down and figure out what did I do today? How did I help? Who did I help? I go through that process. I feel really good about it. That's my business plan. And then I see who I'm going to see tomorrow. What did I talk to them last time? How I'm going to deal with it. So when I get up, I'm already there with my current district. And the very first thing I do is check out, I think he mentioned earlier, WhatsApp. All my family, they have one WhatsApp, they're all connecting to each other. So I keep track of that. And I keep track of there are about dozens or so email comes into me. The way I like to receive them, condensed form, that's all I can deal with it. All about the business, all over the world. That's what I do.
Okay, great. Rupert said he doesn't have a ritual, but Rupert, I'm going to challenge that because I know you are a regular cigar smoker, and I'm willing to bet that you cut it and light it the same way, and you probably have your go-to brands, and you're in a certain state of mind or a mood to smoke it, and maybe even have your favorite chair or your favorite place to go to in order to smoke it. That's ritual.
Yeah. But the thing is with my ADHD, it's like when I get up in the morning, it's the first thing that hits me, right? So either it's pain management, or it's jump up and get into a 1MC meeting, or it's, I got to talk to this investor or somebody, and then I jump up and I start working right away. What I try to get done, of course, is yes, get the coffee, but also feed the cat, right? Because if I don't, then he starts crawling up my leg. And that's basically it. And so a lot of times I have meetings like first thing in the morning, so I just jump out of bed and get ready and go to